Welcome. There we go. Adjusting the camera. You know me. Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Just a few of you who are already on YouTube. I'm surprised. We usually have more of you hanging. Anyway, welcome all. I'm getting it's good enough. All right, let me get TikTok rolling. As always, the lighting on TikTok is awful. I will survive. Oops. Let me go live. Live, live, live. There we go. Oop, gotta pick a live goal. Hey guys, 1 second. Put my live goal on TikTok. I always forget that. Anyway, I know you guys are going through the commercial first on YouTube, so you will arrive shortly. Give me a second here. Love painting. What the hell is that? Love painting. All right, we're going for the love painting. I don't know what the hell that means. There you guys are. Hey, Karen. All right. Boom. Go live. There we go. All right. Hey, Amanda. All right. Switch. Boom. Boom. All righty. Welcome. It looks like we have a small crowd on YouTube today. Oh, there everybody's arriving now. All right. I'm used to you guys chatting before. And TikTokers, welcome. All right, TikTok's joining us. I have coffee today because I was feeling a little sleepy. Hello, Alan in Oklahoma. User 223. Jorge for the first gift. Thank you, Jorge. Appreciate that. Anyway, make sure I've got all my notes in a row here. Yes, I do. Good. All right. Welcome, guys. Greeting, Earthlings. Thank you, Alan, for the gift. So, hey, all. Actually, we haven't done this in a while. Give a little shout out where you're from. I think it's always kind of fun for people to see where people are hailing from, because that's always very interesting. We get a lot of Europeans, and also, well, especially the non-North Americans and non-Europeans. I'm always curious about. Hey, user 336, thank you for the gift. Oh, Norway, excellent. I mean, I don't mind the Americans and the Canadians and the Europeans, but it always intrigues me because we have mostly Americans and Canadians, and then maybe 30% Europeans. But it always intrigues me when we get somebody. Well, we do have several Australians who join us, even though it's always a hellish hour in the morning for you guys. Wales, lovely. I've not been. I keep wanting to go. Good accent from Torchwood. I know the Wales accent from Torchwood, which I liked a lot. Thank you, Larissa. So, just to see Sweden, Eric, of course. Ireland, hey. Morocco. Modern Maroc. There you go. I've been to Morocco twice. I love Morocco. Lovely country, nice people, great food. I speak French, so it made it a lot fun. Although outside of, getting into smaller towns, the French did not serve me. But I love Morocco. Lovely place. It was very inexpensive as well 20 years ago. I don't know about now. Democrats betrayed America. Yeah, if you believe that supporting America is betraying America, then Democrats betrayed America by betraying America, because you guys are literally voting for a guy who's a convicted felon who hates America, caused our prisoners of war. Trump called our prisoners of war suckers and losers. He actually called our killed in action suckers and losers, refused to visit them at the military cemetery because he didn't want to get his hair wet. He refused to have a soldier with a disability, the soldiers that had lost their limbs in war. I mean, like our biggest heroes ever. Trump didn't want them appearing at the military parades because nobody wants to see that. He thought it was gross. So yes, thank you, Troll, for reminding me about why I need to point this out. It's a lie. Oh, I see Bigfoot's a troll. Hey, Bigfoot troll. So, all right, everybody, I want you to go on Google right now. Oh, that's the lipstick. Thank you for that. I was always wondering what Tattooed Mom, what the lipstick looked like. I want everybody here right now. That guy's leaving. I want you to go on Google right now. And I want you to Google Donald Trump suckers and losers. Okay? And you're going to find article after article quoting Donald Trump's Republican chief of staff of the White House. The Republican who Donald Trump appointed to be his own chief of staff at the White House. He was a Marine Corps general. The Marine Corps general Republican who Donald Trump appointed to be his top guy running the White House says he heard Trump directly tell him that American prisoners of war, American killed in action in war, are suckers and losers for joining the military, and that Trump didn't want to visit them at their graves because A, he had no respect for them, and B, he didn't want to get his hair wet. So I'm glad the trolls are calling it a lie, because every time the trolls call it a lie, I am going to explain this to you and remind everybody out there who didn't know about it that Donald Trump called America's heroes in the military suckers and losers for getting killed in action, and getting captured as prisoners of war. So keep going, trolls. Keep denying it. It does hit a nerve. It pisses me off when they do that because I actually have a lot of respect for the military. It pisses me off the degree to which Trump supporters hate the military. How their cult is so strong that they will support Donald Trump over our own military, that they will support a man who is a draft dodger, who called our troops suckers and losers for getting killed in action and getting taken prisoners, and that they then sit there and go, oh, we're so proud of we're so pro-military. You're not pro-military. Thank you, Poppy, for subscribing. Thank you, Courtney. You're not pro-military. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. When did Biden serve? Trump literally dodged the draft. Trump dodged the draft. His son fought in the war. None of Trump's people fought in the war. Biden's son did. None of Trump himself dodged the draft. Biden didn't. Trump called our troops suckers and losers for getting killed in action and taken prisoner. Biden didn't. So yeah, you want to compare Biden to Trump on the military? Go make my day, because I'll sit here for the next hour and talk about Trump calling our troops suckers and losers for getting killed in action and taken prisoner. I am happy to talk. You guys want to keep lying, Trump supporters? I will literally make this entire broadcast about Donald Trump hating our troops. Absolutely happy to. You people have no idea what you're getting into here. It is documented. His own Republican chief of staff, a Marine Corps general. I love this. No, he did. First of all, by the way, a lot of these guys are Russians. You guys have to keep that in mind too. The U.S. actually cracked down a lot on the Russians today. The Russians have been paying people to basically spread lies about Trump. And as we know, a lot of the Trump supporters, Russia literally is a Trump supporter. Russia has taken Trump's side in the election. We know that again. And so a lot of the folks we're seeing saying this, by the way, are people who are very likely Russian bots who are paid because literally Donald Trump is Russia's guy. And we know that. He sides with our enemies. He doesn't like America's troops. You know, Brian, I'm going to blink until you confess that Donald Trump called our troops suckers and losers for being killed in action. The man hates the troops. He's a draft dodger. Keep going, tries. Keep going, trolls. Keep going. Keep going. I'm going to keep repeating the proof again and again, because the nice thing about TikTok is new people keep coming, new people keep coming, new people keep coming. And by the way, Ash, feel free to ban all these guys because they're lying. Google it. Google it. Donald Trump and the word suckers and losers. And you will find Donald Trump's own Marine Corps general, who he hired to run the White House, a Marine Corps general, 3-star general, I believe, in fact, said Donald Trump told him our prisoners of war and our killed in actions are suckers and losers for joining the military. Donald Trump didn't want to visit them because he was going to get his little hair wet. Imagine if a Democratic president, a man, mind you, said he didn't want to visit our troops, our cemeteries of our heroes, our soldiers, because he was going to get his little hair wet. Imagine the gay jokes the Republicans would make if a Democratic president literally refused to visit the troops dead, the graves of our troops, because his hair would get wet. Yeah. So no, I will talk about this till the cows come home. Trump supporters, again, it's a cult. It's a cult. You know, they can't admit to anything. Again, a lot of these guys are Russians, by the way. They literally work for Trump. So, you know, we can't believe these trolls anyway. Thank you, Jonathan. But it just, it just really sickens me. And again, this is what the Republican Party has become. They don't believe in America. They don't believe in conservative values. They don't believe in faith. I mean, my God, the idea of calling yourself a person of faith and voting for Donald Trump, who literally slept with a porn star right after his wife gave birth. Thank you for the gifts, guys. Thank you, Running. Thank you, Kim. You know, slept with a porn star right after his wife gave birth to his last son. And then Trump paid her off with $130,000. How would you feel if your husband did that to you, right? Slept with a porn star right after you gave birth with your child and then paid her $130,000 of your money to shut her up. Yeah, big faithful, big religious guy Donald Trump is, right? Doesn't believe in faith, doesn't believe in freedom, doesn't support American troops, doesn't support America, doesn't support America's allies, wants to get rid of NATO, which is what Vladimir Putin wants to stop helping Ukraine fight Russia, which is what Vladimir Putin wants, sucks up to Kim, the dictator of North Korea. You know, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Marshall. Affleck, oh, did we get a duck? I didn't see. Thank you for the duck. So I will scroll back here. Randy and Fred and Hayes. Oh, I'm going to keep calling you Randy. It makes it easier. Marsha, PC Noel. Oh, NJ Patman did the duck. Thank you, NJ. We got Kim and running. I did thank you guys, Jonathan. I'm just looking back a little bit because when I was ranting, I didn't get to thank everybody. Thank you, Marsha. Tattooed Mom gave some gifts. Yeah, the lipstick thing is kind of funny. Thank you, Knuckled. Yeah, there's a new gift. A new TikTok gift that's lipstick, and I was curious. It is pretty funny. It writes on your cheek in lipstick. It's pretty funny. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, running. All right. Sasha's doing well. She's resting underneath. Oh, there. What does it actually write? Is it a heart? I guess it looks like it's a heart. Thank you, karaoke. That's very funny. Oh, and this is our favorite, Chazak. No, this is true. I wish you guys on YouTube could see this. There's a TikTok gift that's like an Elvis impersonation with the glasses and the big like black hairdo. And of course, TikTok, the gifts are neat because as you move, they move with you. And actually, you go like this, and the hair literally goes up and down. It's very cool stuff. I will say TikTok does have the best gifts. Thank you, Big Hawk. All right, let's get rolling, guys. So yeah, there was a school shooting in America today. Big surprise. Another school got shot up. It's a Republican congressional district, Republican area of the country, Georgia. Deep red, as we say, deeply Republican. 14-year-old decided to shoot up his school and kill everybody. What's there to say? I mean, again, I'm kind of tired of this at this point. I'm tired of even talking about it. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Marsha. Democrats keep wanting to get guns off the streets. Republicans say that guns are literally their sex toys, and they don't want to get them off the streets because it's either their Bible or their sex toy. I don't know which. It's a fetish, but it's also a religion to them. This piece of metal is more important than your children dying. More of your children are dying. Well, thank you. I mean, I am. I'm kind of tired of even talking about it at this point. I'm tired of pretending like we care. We don't care as a nation. We don't care. We don't care. Kids get killed. We don't care. The Republican, by the way, the Republican who's the congressional, the House member, the congressional district is his. He's the Republican in charge of that district. He did a campaign ad with a gun in it because he thought it was cool to show everybody, look, I've got a gun. And I think he even fired the gun. Yeah, well, nice guns you got there in your district. A bunch of kids just got shot at your school. Congratulations. Thank you, Terry. And Republicans won't do anything because that's what they do. Kids get shot. They don't care. They care about their little sex toy, their gun. Oh, well. Thank you, Marsha. No, it really kind of pisses me off because, again, they don't care about family. They don't care about faith. They don't care about freedom. All the things the Republican Party used to claim they cared about, I thought they did care about it. Now I realize they were just liars. Like the religion thing, at least on religion. Thank you, Larissa. I thought Republicans actually believed in the religion. I thought, they're super religious. They're not. They were pretending. I mean, it blows my mind. It just blows my mind that the entire Republican Party was one big cult, one big lie. They don't believe in strong defense. They don't believe in the troops. They don't believe in religion. They don't believe in freedom, democracy, fighting for democracy, fighting America's enemies, defending America's friends. There isn't a single thing other than tax cuts. They love tax cuts for the rich. Republicans always do tax cuts for the rich. That's why our deficit's in so much trouble. But other than that, they don't believe anything. MAGA Republicans, and I say Republicans because, sorry, your party's Donald Trump now. Your party's Donald Trump. Thank you, Kathy, for the gift. Marsha, Kathy again. World is my oyster. Toddy, Max, JH, Max, Larissa. I think I got you guys. Very sad. Just very sad across the board. You had one in Sweden today. Wow. Caroline says they had a school shooting in Sweden. Now, Sweden has been like this slow little uptick. Well, Norway too. You guys are like, unfortunately, I think they're copying us. Wasn't that previous horrible one in Norway back maybe 3 or 5 years ago? The really bad one. I think it might have been Norway, but that's crazy. In Europe, you just don't tend to get those. Although again, it's starting. And again, I think the crazies are copying us. All right. Let's talk national polling. Let's talk about the polls. So, overall, it's tied. I mean, I told you guys, we've been talking about this. The race is tied. In the national polls, Kamala Harris is now beating Donald Trump by 3 points, 49-46. But that means it's within the margin of error. The other thing is the polls aren't always right, but I mean, it's quite literally. The election polls aren't always right. It makes it kind of difficult. Like, it's better that she's ahead because Kamala Harris is ahead. This, by the way, is, I should have said, this is the average of all polls. It's called a poll of polls. You take every poll that's out there and aggregate it together and then get a number. And what's good about that is it gives you a little bit of a truer sense, because one poll could be off this way, one poll could be off this way. When you put them all together, there's a little bit of a better chance that the mistakes cancel each other out, right? So in the poll of polls, the average of all the polls out right now, Kamala Harris is ahead 3 points. Joe Biden was behind 3 points. So she's ahead 6 points of where Biden was. That's great. Now, again, doesn't mean she's going to win at all, but it still is very interesting. It is, I think, conclusive looking at the polls that Harris is doing much better than Biden. I mean, it's clear. She's doing way better than Biden. So that's good news. Will she win? We don't know. Let me walk you through the battleground states. So these are 7 states that are the key states that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris both really need. I'm not going to go through the long explanation. Thank you, Marie, for any of the TikTokers who are new here. I know the rest of you tend to be regulars. But basically, in America, you don't win the election based on the national vote. Hillary Clinton won the national vote by 3 million votes. She got 3 million more votes than Donald Trump. That's 2 percentage points more than Donald Trump. I think it was like 48 to 46, something like that. She lost because she didn't win the right states. In America, you got to win the right states. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Ava, for the gifts. Keep them coming, guys. So you always want to look at specific states because you've got to win. Each state has a point value attached to it. Some states are only worth 3 points. Some states like California are worth 54 points. You've got to win 270 points. So enough states to get 270 points. It's like the game of Risk in a way. Each has a different points for different regions. And if you get 270 points, you become president. So you can actually get more votes than the other guy. But if you don't win the right states, you don't get 270 points, you don't win. Anyway, thanks, adventurers. So these are the battleground states. These are the latest polls. And again, I believe these are the average of polls, which is an even better way for the battleground states. Wisconsin, Harris 50, Trump 47. Let me say as I explain this, by the way, thank you, Florica. These are ties. All of the numbers I'm giving you are statistically ties because most of these polls have like a 2 or 3 point margin of error, meaning if I say Kamala Harris has 46 in the polls, she could have 48%, she could have 44%. So all of these numbers actually show a statistical tie between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. But Wisconsin, Harris ahead 50 to 47. Michigan, Harris ahead 48 to 46, 2 points. Pennsylvania, Harris ahead by 1 point, 49 to 48. Nevada, Harris and Trump tied, 48. Georgia, Harris and Trump tied, 48. North Carolina, Harris and Trump tied, 48. Arizona, Harris and Trump tied, 48. I mean, it doesn't get any closer than this. Now, as I said, you got to keep in mind there's a margin of error, and you got to keep in mind a lot of these polls were wrong before. With Donald Trump's support in particular, thank you, Nicolette, a lot of times Trump did actually much better on election day than the polls showed. Thank you, Florica. Some of that could be, frankly, that people are embarrassed of him, that they're embarrassed to say, I'm voting for a guy who thinks Americans' troops are suckers and losers. I'm embarrassed to vote for a guy who's a convicted felon, who serially sexually assaulted women, who supports America's enemies, like the Russians. So this is part of the problem with polls. People are not embarrassed to say, to bolster, I support Kamala Harris. They are embarrassed to say, I support a convicted felon who likes to sexually assault women. So thank you. Who is that? Adventures with the love painting. Thank you so much. But as I said before, Biden was losing left and right to Trump. Harris is tied or winning. That's good. I think it is this close. Let me rephrase again. Harris is doing so much better than Biden was doing. That we know for a fact. Thank you, Pedro. Is she really winning in some of these states? That we don't know. She's going to have to do very well. One thing I read the other day said, even if you're ahead by 3 points, doesn't mean you're going to win that state because the polls are still kind of iffy in these states. So very important. Another important point. So Trump in the last day finally publicly acknowledged that he didn't win the election in 2020. Now, how sad that it's news that a candidate that obviously lost the election last time finally admitted 4 years later, he admitted that he lost by a whisker, by just a small amount. And that's news because the guy has been lying so much to all of his lies all the time to his followers. Again, it's a bit of a cult. They all accept it. He's finally admitting it caused an insurrection, literally sicked 1,000 people to violently overthrow our government, take over the Congress, stop the election counting, because he couldn't admit he lost the election. He knew he lost, but again, he doesn't believe in democracy. He's now admitting that he lost, which is kind of interesting because he didn't before. But again, kind of sad at the same time that it's news that he is finally 4 years later admitting that he lost when everybody knew he lost, and he lost by millions of votes. And right, it's kind of sad. Thank you, cool. Thank you, user 4246. A little more news. Thank you. Who is that? Blah blah. Thank you. Blah blah. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Remember, did he lose by 8 million? Was it that much last time, Ocean? Google and double check. I didn't realize it was that much. Are you sure he lost by 8 million last time to Biden? Was it that many? Just curious if people want to check really quick for me. You'll find it on Wikipedia. The Wikipedia page for the 2020 election. Jason says 8 million. Wow. Okay, that is really good. That is really good. Now, what was the percentage difference? I'm curious. What was the 8 million? Was what percent though? Was it like 3% or something, or what's the deal? Yeah, Pete. Here's the problem, Pete. I'm not an idiot because I actually researched this stuff. You need to check into it. Pete's saying you're an idiot if you don't think there was election interference. There was literally next to none. Literally. The only election interference that happened was mostly on the Republican side. It still wasn't significant because, by the way, I'm like honest. So I admit that the Republicans were usually the ones who cheated, but it didn't matter. It wasn't significant. There was not a significant numbers of Republicans cheating because, again, I tell the truth. I'm not a member of a cult. Everyone who investigated admitted it. The election, there was no stealing. There wasn't significant fraud at all. Again, you don't get to say it just because you're a member of a cult. You don't get to claim there was massive election fraud. You're being lied to. You were lied to by Trump. You were lied to by Fox News. You were lied to by all those other crazy news services you guys watch. Google it and get the information, and you will literally see story after story, study after study showing that there was no significant election problems at all. America has never had significant election problems in recent history, ever. There's always been some cheating, and last time most of the cheating was Trump. Well, it was Republicans and the Russians, of course, too. 4.4% margin of victory. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, a little bit more here. Trump's nephew. So Trump's nephew, Fred Trump III, said in an interview this morning on CNN, they won't believe it because they're cult members. Yeah, they won't. Tyrion says they won't believe Google. They won't because they're cult members. This is why I don't really care about Trump supporters. Most of them are cult members. Some of them are sane, normal people. And I say sane, normal, meaning I know several people who voted for Trump last time or voted for Trump the first time, maybe didn't vote last time or voted last time. But this time they say there's no way I could vote for that man. Now, a lot of them don't like Kamala Harris either. I'm okay with that. I mean, if you're a Republican, it's kind of weird to vote for a Democrat. I get that. But not voting for Donald Trump, at least, is a step in the right direction, right? But the problem is they're not the majority of the Republican Party. The majority of the Republican Party are the Trump cultists, sadly, who don't care what he does. They defend everything he did. Anything that's disgusting, they defend it. So it's sad. Trump's nephew, Fred Trump III, said in an interview this morning on CNN that last year, when he called Trump asking for financial help for this is Trump's nephew's disabled son, William, Trump told him, quote, "He doesn't recognize you. Let him die and move to Florida." Trump's nephew has a disabled son. The nephew needed help supporting because, you can imagine for a person with severe disabilities, they need full-time help. A lot of money. I know just trying to get help for my mom part-time, how expensive it was, right? And Trump told him, he doesn't even recognize you. Let him die. Just move to Florida. Yeah. Thank you, Kim T. Yeah. J.D. Vance. So J.D. Vance, Trump's pick for vice president, is speaking at a conservative media summit held at a church, of course, because they love to electioneer at churches, even though it shouldn't be legal, but it is. Thank you, 666. J.D. Vance is speaking at a church run by a pastor who is super homophobic, super anti-gay. The guy's name is Ryan Visconti. In one post on Twitter from July of this year, Visconti wrote that in order for America to be great again, we need to go back to opposing the abomination of gay, and he wrote mirage, which was actually very funny, gay mirage. Instead of gay marriage, he wrote gay mirage. I love these guys too, because they're a walking definition of bigotry. Like, you expect a bigot like this to be somebody who's kind of stupid and not very educated. And he literally writes for gay marriage. He wrote gay mirage, M-I-R-A-G-E. I like gay. Actually, you're right. It does sound like a drag name, Art. It does, like gay mirage. It's very good a drag name. A separate post from the fall of 2023 features Visconti saying that in God's eyes, there's no such thing as gay marriage. And he argued in a lengthy thread posted earlier in 2023 that God wants homosexuals to repent and change. Okay, then. And I don't need to talk again about Donald Trump spending 2 hours on his hair every morning. We're just going to let that go. Trump previously opposed mail. So we talked about this the other day. Remember the other day, some of you guys were here. We talked about Donald Trump and mail-in ballots. In America, in some states, you can vote early, like 2 or 3 weeks before. And actually, I think most states you can do a mail-in ballot, like if you're not available or whatever, and you can apply for a ballot, get it, write your choice or whatever you do, put it in the envelope and mail it in. And as long as they get the envelope by election day, your vote will count. Well, Democrats tend to use mail-in ballots a lot. Republicans don't. Well, the last election, very funny, in 2020, excuse me, Trump basically was on this because, of course, Republicans didn't want mail-in ballots because it's how a lot of Democrats vote. So they didn't want it. So Trump kept talking about how mail-in ballots don't work. People cheat. They'll steal ballots. Your vote won't be counted. And it's thought that Trump literally depressed his own vote in the election by telling Republicans not to vote by mail. Because here's the thing. Voting by mail is easy. You get it at home, you fill it out, you mail it in. Election day? I remember election day in New York. The line was like 2 hours long. It was election day in New York. It was 2 hours long. And I was kind of like, Hillary's going to win anyway. This is bullshit, right? I have to vote for Hillary in a line that's 2 hours long when I know she's going to win. Like, you could have rainstorms. You could have lots of reasons. People are jobs, blue collar people, especially white collar. In white collar in America means business class, business people. Lawyers, doctors, finance, right? White collar, because they wear white collars, right? In America, they can always get off work to vote because they tend to be more important. Blue collar people. Blue collar means workers, factory workers, right? Somebody at a gas station, a maid that cleans your house or takes care of your kids, right? We say blue collar, meaning working class. Working class people really can't get off of work very easily because, like, as a waiter, you're going to take 2 jobs off from work and not wait tables, right? You're taking care of someone's children as a nanny. You're going to leave the children for 2 hours. I mean, they're not the kind of jobs you could just get up and leave. And you're usually not management level. So they're not like management level. Any office is going to tell you, go ahead, right? You need time to vote, go vote. But it's pretty, yeah. Oh yeah, New York was horrific. It was around the block. It was horrific. I mean, it was good because people were voting, but we have horror stories, and people know this. In America, we have horror stories about people waiting 5 hours in line to vote. I mean, it's crazy stuff. So yeah, mail-in ballots can often be, anyway, bottom line here is Trump now today changed his tune and suggested that Republicans vote by mail. Again, I mean, good, because that's how you get more people to vote. But it's funny because he literally told them not to vote by mail last time, and he thought that was part of the reason he lost. So kind of funny. Now, I'm not sure why I put this under. Let me see. All right, I've got a Ukraine story I'm going to tell you in a second. First, U.S. Department of Justice has basically clamped down on the Russians again. The Russians are trying to win the election for Trump. The Department of Justice clamped down on a bunch of basically the fake Russian, not even fake, not just the Russian propaganda, but they actually clamped down on things like Russia Today, RT, which used to just be a media propaganda outlet, are now affirmatively paying American influencers to basically support Trump and attack Kamala Harris. And the influencers, like on social media, don't even know don't even know that it's A, the Russians paying them, and B, paying them for basically a fake campaign to help Russia. So kind of crazy. So anyway, U.S. government clamped down on that. Now let's move to Ukraine. Hang on a second. We are at day 922 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. The first story I was going to tell you was kind of interesting. I saw this story yesterday. I did not report on it because it wasn't clear who was doing this. It wasn't clear if it was the Ukrainians or the Russians. Now we know it's the Ukrainians. Listen, this is kind of wild. Actually, hang on, let me find my... the Ukrainian military says it is using dragon drones. It's like dragons, right? Dragon drones against Russia, according to Ukraine's defense ministry. Ukraine's defense ministry published new footage resembling a video shared by Ukrainian and Russian Telegram channels, which is a social media channel, a few days ago. The video showed what appeared to be a drone raining down fiery white-hot metal on unseen soldiers hidden in a tree line. This is pretty awful stuff. Again, oh well, but it's pretty awful stuff. They've got drones that are dropping molten metal on the Russian troops. So they're calling it dragon drones. A number of reports suggest the drones are equipped with thermite munitions that are dropped on Russian positions. This is from, I think, this might be from Kyiv Independent, might be Sky News. Thermite weapons disperse thousands of tiny pieces of molten metal burning at temperatures that exceed 2,000 degrees Celsius. 2,000 Celsius is just as hot Fahrenheit. I don't even know what it is in Fahrenheit. It's just as hot. It's several thousand degrees Fahrenheit, which means it can melt through armored vehicles. Russia has deployed similar incendiary devices, such as the banned white phosphorus bombs from earlier on in the war. That's why this matters, because the Russians have been doing this from the beginning for 2.5 years, and the Ukrainians and the Russians using like an illegal weapon to do it with. The Ukrainians basically found a legal way that still creeps people out. Whoops! You know what it is? I'm moving my. Sorry, we were saying there was microphone noise on YouTube. I think it's because my paper, like I'm doing this with my paper. I will not have my paper sitting on the counter because that's what's bothering you guys. Thank you. Anyway, a little bit more news here. The death toll on Russia's attack on Poltava. I was telling you yesterday about Russia doing this horrific attack on Ukraine. The death toll rose to 53. We know that several hundred people were injured. Really horrific. Thank you, Darian. For the gift. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Remember, I do this for full time. I do it for free. Your gifts literally help me pay the bills. You literally, your gifts do pay. I should not even help. Your gifts pay the bills. So please keep them coming. And if you can subscribe, I would appreciate that as well. It's a wonderful way to get rolling. Subscribers get to join our show every Saturday morning. We have a special show just for paid members on YouTube, paid subscribers on TikTok. Thank you, Timothy. When my life settled down a little, I will go back to doing some shows during the week as well. A little bit more here. Ukraine's parliament. So big shakeup in the Ukrainian government. Thank you, Randy, for the lipstick. Big shakeup in the Ukrainian government. Thank you, Timothy, as well. And Randy and Fred. Oh, Dump Trump. Thank you for subscribing. Oh, somebody did gifts. Woo! Somebody did gift subscriptions. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. So yes, Dump Trump, Michelle Dukes, Crystal Smith, Raymond Bridge, and Carl Burns. You all got subscriptions for the next month, thanks to Joe. It gives you some emojis and stuff, but basically, as I said, every Saturday I do a show just for the paid subscribers. It's much more intimate and small, so I can like take your questions the whole time. It's much easier. And when my life settles down, I will go back to trying to do. I was trying to do some private shows just for you guys during the week, but I've been dealing with my mother's estate, and it has been living hell. So, I mean, it's doable, but it's taking up literally two-thirds of my workday. I have been dealing with estate stuff, and it's just like, whew. Anyway, so I've not been having a lot of time to do the private shows. So at first I was just doing the Saturday show anyway, but I wanted to try to give you guys more, so I was doing them weekdays. Now I'm not, but I'm going to try to pop in weekdays, and maybe first thing in the morning I'll try to pop in weekdays because I can do half a show that way at least, like for half an hour or something. I'm not going to buy Mom's house because it's too expensive for starters. I'm not wealthy enough to buy my mom's house, but also, you know, it's. I don't want to do too long of a tangent, but I think I told you guys this. It was a very interesting New York Times article several years ago. Thank you, C. Scott, talking about a woman who bought her parents' house. Her mother died, and the father, I think, needed to go into a home or something because he needed help. So they put him in a nearby, assisted living, whatever. And she bought her parents' house. And they thought, isn't that great, right? She thought, this is great. I'm going to buy the parents' house, move into my ancestral home. Dad can visit. Well, Dad comes to visit. And the first thing Dad did, he looked at the mantle of the fireplace, right? The frame around the fireplace, and said, you changed it. And she said, oh, yeah, I kind of got rid of some stuff and made it simpler. He goes, your mother designed that. The entire story was about Dad noticing things the woman did to the house, the daughter did to the house that she bought, and all the things that the mother had put in the house that the daughter took away. She felt horrible. The house, she said, was nonstop memories of her dead mother because, maybe after 10 years, you've got fond memories, but those first couple years, this house, like the house is empty, right? It's not, it's memories, it's sad memories in a way, right? It's not like happy memories. She hated it. She said it was the worst thing she ever did. And she basically recommended people. She also said, which is true if you think about it, I haven't lived in Chicago in 40 years. You come back and all the neighbors have changed. None of the neighbors are there, right? Like I know the neighbors by the old names. They're not there anymore. The left, the right, behind us. They're not there. And it's just, it was just a really, if you want to Google it, it's very interesting. But it was a beautiful sort of article about just that concept about how people who think that wouldn't it be nice to buy the family home, then realize that it ends up being it can be a very sad place, a lot of memories. And at the same time, everyone's gone. All your neighbors are gone. All the people you grew up with are gone. So you're kind of in this place where all the happy stuff, like playing as a kid, they're all gone. Anyway, I just thought it's always an interesting story to me because I know people who have done it and really liked it, like, having an ancestral home. But I could see that being an issue, Any case, back to the news. Poland wants to ramp up production of 155 millimeter artillery shells in the hope of ensuring sufficient supplies if Russia attacks NATO. General Breedlove, former, I believe he was the Supreme Allied Commander in Europe for NATO, or the Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, says that the F-16s will not have a big impact in the next 6 months because there aren't enough pilots and there aren't enough planes. After that point, he thinks the F-16s will have a significant impact in Ukraine. He did say, however, I'll read you this quote. Where's the quote I took from him? He says, we identified over 10 years ago that Ukraine needed fourth-generation fighters, and the world has reacted extremely slowing to supplying those needs. He's basically saying that, A, the F-16s coming aren't enough. After 6 months from now, they'll be enough to make a difference. But literally, he actually said, he was telling this, he said, not only, he said the problem isn't that NATO was slow to provide the F-16s once Ukraine was invaded in 2022. He said NATO knew this 10 years ago because of exactly what Carol said, Crimea. Because when Russia invaded Crimea the first time, NATO knew that Ukraine needed fighter jets and they refused to provide them. And then Russia invaded again in 2022 and NATO still refused to provide them. What a difference it could have made had we not just jerked Ukraine around all this time. But again, too afraid of Russia. Speaking of which, Russia's threatening us again. So today there was a double Russian threat today. Thank you, Elizabeth. A double Russian threat. The first one was the Russians threatened nuclear war again. I don't care. You guys know I really never care when the Russians threaten nuclear war. They just threatened nuclear war, and it was like whatever, right? I mean, we've got nukes, you got nukes. Good luck using your nukes, right? Russia uses its nukes, and we're at war. And if we're at war with Russia, Russia loses that war. This is the important thing. Thank you, Randy and Elizabeth. The only way Russia will use nuclear weapons in Ukraine is if they think we won't do anything about it. If they don't think we'll do anything about it, they might use their nukes. If they think we will go literally ballistic and declare war on them, they won't use their nukes. It will be our weakness that causes Russia to use nukes. If Russia thinks, like I said, if Russia thinks we will go nuts, we'll bomb their troops, we'll enter the war. And by the way, we should enter the war if Russia uses nuclear weapons in Ukraine. That's Europe. It's on the border of several NATO allies. Russia uses nukes, it's war. And we should make that clear. Maybe we have made that clear. We don't know. Thank you, Taylor. We may have. But honestly, I don't totally trust Biden in this one because I see what Biden does publicly. And I see Biden, like I said, I like Biden, but he's kind of a wuss when it comes to Putin. He's very afraid of Putin. And he's afraid of angering Putin and all this bullshit. Any case, so we don't care. The Russians are threatening to use nukes again. Nobody cares. But I have to laugh at this. This one did make me laugh. The Russian foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, who, of course, what do? He works for bad people. He's got to lie for them. He warned today that the U.S. better not joke about Moscow's red lines in Ukraine. A red line meaning if you do, this is a line that you better not cross in terms of aid you give Ukraine or whatever, or we're going to use our nukes. He said, I have to read this today. He was commenting this time about the U.S. preparing to give Ukraine long-range weapons. I won't be surprised by anything. The Americans have already crossed the threshold they set for themselves. I guess meaning the Americans said they wouldn't give Ukraine certain weapons, and now we are. He said, but the Americans should understand they are joking about our red lines here. They shouldn't joke about our red lines. The reason we joke about the Russian red lines is Ukraine has quite possibly, in America too, and NATO and the Brits, we've quite possibly crossed like 100 Russian red lines in the last 2.5 years. Literally. I mean, maybe not 100, maybe it's 50. But Russia said, don't you dare attack Crimea, and the implication is nuclear weapons. Don't you dare attack Crimea, we'll use nuclear weapons. We've invaded eastern Ukraine and are holding hostage 18% of Ukraine in the east. Russia then declared this territory is Russian. It's now Russia. So if Ukraine invades Russia to take land, i.e. if Ukraine invades the occupied Ukraine to take its land back from the Russians, they'll use their nukes. Well, Ukraine invaded, got a ton of their land back. Russia did nothing. Ukraine then invaded Russia itself, Kursk in the north, which they're invading right now, took a bunch of land. Russia did nothing. They told us not to give F-16s. Russia did nothing. They told us not to give tanks. Russia did nothing. I'm trying to remember what else. Do you guys even remember what all the other stuff was? Like all the other the reason we laugh at Russia's red lines is because Russia's red lines are laughable. Russia is scared, and they should be scared. Because as I said, they've got nuclear weapons. We've got nuclear weapons. So screw that. Good luck with your nukes. We've got nukes. Conventionally, we would destroy. No one wants to go to war with Russia. A lot of people would die. But would we win a war against Russia? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Nuclear war, everybody dies. So we can't use nukes. They can't use nukes. Conventional war, we are so much stronger than Russia. NATO, so much stronger than Russia. So, yeah, by the way, and Russia's been at war for 2 years in Ukraine, getting down its troops, losing weapons. We've been giving Ukraine some of our weapons, but most of our weapons, right? Our Air Force, we've got all of our Air Force left. We've got all of our Air Force weapons, right? We've got all of our Navy. We've got all of our cruise missiles, whether they're sub-launched or air-launched or whatever, right? But I have to, it's just so funny to hear the Russians say, don't you laugh about our red lines. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to laugh. I'm going to laugh because you're a bunch of wimps. And I don't mean to say it to tempt them, but the point is a conventional war, we will win against Russia, and a nuclear war, Russia will be annihilated off the planet. That would be a bad thing because they would do it to us too. But if they dared attack us with nukes, we would wipe them off the planet. It would happen. They would not be able to take out our nukes. I've explained this before, but we have nuclear weapons on submarines that are impossible to reach. Russia could literally destroy all of us. They could kill all of us. And our nuclear weapons and our submarines would wipe Russia off the map. That would be a very bad thing, obviously. But the point is, it means Russia's not going to use its nukes anytime soon. Germany has ordered 17 Iris-T air defense systems for Ukraine. Good job, Germany. The final story, two final stories. One, Institute for the Study of War, which is a very good defense think tank in the U.S., says that Putin's successor will not necessarily be any better than Putin. We've talked about this before. Could the next guy or gal be any better? ISW says unlikely. Sky News did the write-up, but saying that when the Kremlin leader eventually chooses a successor, the Institute for the Study of War says that the person is likely to hold the same views as Putin. The Institute said in its daily update that Putin's inner circle and the wider Russian government have publicly stated their aversion to peace negotiations with Ukraine on terms other than capitulation. Looking here, so basically says the Russians they don't want to reach peace with Ukraine, and any kind of a negotiated ceasefire will only benefit Russia and will afford the Kremlin time to further radicalize and militarize Russian society against Ukraine, and the Russian military time to rest and reconstitute before conducting a further attack. What ISW is saying is, if Ukraine and Russia, I've been saying, if Ukraine and Russia reach a ceasefire, the Russians are going to take that time to build their weapons back up and then invade Ukraine again. This is the Institute for the Study of War. It is a very highly respected defense think tank in Washington, D.C. Final point, Russia is a dictatorship, which I tell you about. Russia executed 3 Ukrainian prisoners of war in eastern Ukraine occupied by Russia. Prosecutors say A video circulated on Telegram, which is a social media company the Russians like to use, that showed 3 Ukrainian soldiers coming out of a basement with their hands up. The Ukrainians were then apprehended by Russian soldiers who placed them face down on the ground and shot them. Yeah, that's Russia. That's Russia. All right, guys, let's hang and do our chat. I have been having a little too much coffee as we're talking. I admit I was getting tired, and now I'm kind of like, woo. So sorry about that. I could feel myself speeding up as the show was going on. Sorry. That was my nephew. Yes, that was my nephew walking behind, doing his cameo. C Block asked, do I like Kamala Harris as a candidate, or do I have someone else I'd rather have wanted? Difficult. I don't need my inhaler. I'm just like, oh, you're right. I see what you mean. The inhaler would be double the fun. Yeah. I like Kamala Harris. I liked her in 2000. My number one pick was Joe Biden in the 2000 election because I thought he had the best chance of beating Donald Trump. His policies were okay for me, but I thought he had the best chance of beating Trump. My number 2 was Pete Buttigieg. Anybody, you'd have to sort of know American politics to know who I'm talking about. I think he's amazing. I think at the time he was too young. He was like 38 years old. He's not too young legally, but I think he just looks too young. And he's a short guy too. He just looks youthful. I think he was too new to politics. He'd been a mayor. Having said that, he has an Obama-esque and a Bill Clinton-esque ability. He's got Bill Clinton's brain of just knowledge. Bill Clinton, and again, people like to sort of criticize Clinton today. Clinton was an amazing man. I got to meet him once at a 2-hour meeting we had with a bunch of us bloggers with him. The encyclopedic knowledge of this man, it was exhilarating. If you like talking politics, 2 hours of talking to somebody who knew everything about everything. Brilliant man, Bill Clinton. I was sitting right next to him. It was funny. Long story, but I was sitting right next to him. He was an amazing guy. Buttigieg has that. He has Obama's he doesn't talk like Obama, but Obama's way of speaking in that this very eloquent, poetic, very spiritual. He's a very spiritual guy. Anyway, Buttigieg was amazing. He hadn't been in politics long enough. He had to be longer. Kamala Harris was my number 3. She was my number 3. I think she's very good. I'm not really convinced that there is anybody else right now, to be honest. Who else is there, right? I mean, I don't know enough about the other candidates. I don't know enough about Gretchen Whitmer or what's his face in California. I just don't know enough about him, right? I like her. I worry that America won't elect a woman or a woman of color. I think that might be a problem, but let's see. I didn't think they would elect a black president twice, but they did. But I just don't know enough about the other. I've seen Shapiro's a great speaker, right? Gavin Newsom's a great speaker. I just don't know enough about him. So I think she's a very good candidate. I like her. Biden was the best guy to beat Trump. I like Kamala Harris more than I liked Biden. Put it that way, right? Biden was literally, hey, he's the guy who can beat Trump, I think, the best. Let's pick him, even though I find him kind of milquetoast. Like I find him kind of gray and bland, right? Biden is bland. Kamala Harris is not bland. Yeah. So anyway, a new documentary by Maddow about Lev Parnas. No. And that's another problem, right? May Call Photography says Pete Buttigieg is also gay, which is a whole other hurdle, to get support. But again, I didn't think America would elect a black president, and I didn't think they'd elect him twice. Obama got elected the second time, and I was like, okay, I mean, I was glad, but about the BRICS. I mean, I can answer a question about the BRICS. I don't know, I don't really care about the BRICS. Thank you, Special K-17. I don't know. The BRICS are a small group of countries that's trying to grow, but they're not that big. I think there's only 9 of them so far, but it was Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They sort of pretend like the thing that makes me laugh is they pretend like they're not aligned. Like America's aligned with like whatever. They're the independent developing countries. China literally wants to rule the world in a communist dictatorship. China is as unaligned as you can bet, right? I mean, as aligned as you can get. China literally wants to be the other global superpower against America and then become the only global superpower. China is not like the nice guys who just, that little small developing country like India. India is independent, I would say. A little too much sometimes. They're supporting Russia too much. But the Indians are independent. China's America. China's the Soviet Union with a different, flag. I mean, obviously America, I think, is good. Soviet Union was bad, but meaning like, ruling the world is China. Russia wishes it was China and India and America. Russia, absolutely hegemonic state that doesn't matter anymore. Insignificant country. They've got nuclear weapons, but they don't matter otherwise. And they're pissed off about it. They lost their empire, and nobody cares because literally nobody thinks, as I quote my Ayn Rand thing, what do you think of me? But I don't think of you. No one thinks of Russia. The only time we think of Russia is when they're invading people or committing war crimes. Otherwise, yeah, they had some good books 150 years ago. Their food isn't very good, right? They do well in sports when they take dope, when their athletes take drugs. I mean, I'm like, okay, whatever. They're just not, they're not a world power. Because they got nuclear weapons. You know who else has nuclear weapons? Israel. Israel's not a world power. Pakistan's not a world power, right? North Korea, they're not a world power. They're just a pain in the ass and dangerous as hell. Jill Stein, horrific human being. Google her in Russia. She's got a very creepy ties to Russia. She's I don't know what's motivating her. There's something very fishy and weird about her. She's this American Green Party leader. The problem is in America, the Green Party isn't the same Green Party that you guys have in Europe. They're just this fringe bunch of wackos. I mean, they literally are. They're fringe wackos. They're not like this environmental. For example, they're super tied to the Russians and Putin. It's really creepy. It's really creepy. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. I am Ruben. Thank you for the gift. Je soy Ruben. What else we got, guys? Yeah, she's just weird. The Americans that moved to Russia, I think it's funny as hell. I just find it so funny. Oh, I mean, again, they got tired of freedom, good food, toilets, and teeth. So they moved to Russia. Okie dokie. Oh, thank you again, Ruben. That was nice of you. I mean, just wait. I feel sorry for them, actually, because, especially if they're adults, good riddance. You want to live in some developing country. Okay. But man, like the poor kids having to live there, man. No, Democrats are not causing school shootings. They're literally Republicans. First of all, they're gun nuts. They're doing the shooting. Who are the gun nuts? You guys. They're not Democrats. Democrats keep trying to ban the guns. Who's putting the guns back on the street? You guys. Democrats banned the AR-15. The AR-15 is the gun. I guarantee you, I would almost put money on the fact that this kid probably used an AR-15 or an AR-15 type rifle today. I would almost guarantee you. Who put the AR-15s back on the street? The Republicans. I love how you guys, this is like with Trump and stuff too. You guys love to lie. You love guns. You love school shootings. You don't care that kids get killed. And then when kids get killed, you go, oh, it's Democrats who did it. Democrats are happy to ban all the damn guns. But for you guys, guns are sex toys and they're Bibles. You think like there's something religious, or again, you think it's a big sex toy or something. I don't know what it is, but you don't want to take guns off the street, and then you complain. I mean, you don't really complain. You really don't care. Was it an AR-15? Of course it was. Of course it was. Of course it was. Yeah. Republicans don't give a damn. They don't care. Again, I don't know what it is. There's just a cult thing going on with the Republican Party. They just don't care. AR-type weapon. What a surprise. What a surprise. It's the same thing every time. And Republicans will stop any effort to get guns off the streets because, again, it's their sex toy. It's their Bible. It's in the Constitution. It's a piece of metal. Seriously, I really do. If you live in Alaska, okay, you want a gun to fight off bear, I'm with you. Thank you, Michael Photography, right? You grew up in rural America and you have a culture of hunting. Great, hunt. Why do you need, military-style machine guns? Why do you need military-style body armor so that the police can't kill you when you're shooting up children, right? Is the deer going to attack you and you need armor? I mean, like RoboCop? No, it's a sex toy to these people. It literally is sex. It's a fetish, and it's disgusting. And you guys support it. Thank you, Amy and Dawn, for subscribing. Those might have been gifts. I don't know if they were. Thank you, Dark. Okay, Dark sent them. Thank you, Dark. No, it's sickening. Thank you, Shorty. It's just sick. People don't need these weapons, and they certainly don't need the body armor and everything else. And these guys always are proud. They do these little videos, all these crazy gun nuts, the videos showing themselves with all their military gear. Again, it's a sexual fetish for these people, and they don't care that kids are dying. It's like, okay, then, whatever. Thank you, Florica. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. It's a sex toy. I mean, it really is. Thank you, Mrs. Toad. Or they think it's their. I think it's kind of sick that most of these gun nuts literally are like, it's my right in the Constitution. It's a gun. It's literally a piece of metal that goes click. Who the hell cares? It's like me saying I've got the constitutional right to a radio. I mean, I like radios, but who the hell cares? It's just stupid. It really is. That's what I'm saying. It's sophomoric. It's stupid. It could be overcompensating. I mean, there's just something kind of fucked up about it, Thank you, Randy, for the gift. Thank you, Flower Lady. Or Randy for the gifts, maybe. I see. Or gift. Randy. Now it's Randy for the gifts. Knocking my computer with my hand. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not going to debate the Constitution. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. I don't sleep with a radio. I do not sleep with a radio. I do not. I've been known to sleep with my computer. I don't sleep with my computer. No. Anyway. What else, guys? Ukraine election stuff. Oh, the debate is in 6 days. Oh, I do, and life goes on. I didn't even create it, which is kind of funny. I didn't even. Somebody created that for me years ago. I have a Wikipedia page, yes, that someone created many years ago, and I was very surprised. I was like, oh, that was nice. I literally didn't know. I mean, you're not supposed to do your own Wikipedia page, but I didn't even create it. I didn't even ask him to create it. I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. Thank you, Flower Lady. But yeah, the debate is still happening. Kamala Harris was still debating the terms with ABC's people. Trump, I think, wasn't quite clear what he was going to do. But they should be debating next Tuesday. So we will do, I'll do a debate watch party with you guys. I'll do a debate watch. My guess is that night, maybe we won't do a show that night. Maybe we'll just do debate watch. But because then the debate will be 2 hours anyway, probably hour and a half, 2 hours. Pete Buttigieg, I think Pete Buttigieg will get another position in Kamala Harris's administration because, I mean, he is the gay vote for starters, right? He's the most prominent gay politician in America right now, really. I'm trying to think if there's anybody really more I mean, there's other big gay politicians, Tammy Baldwin, bisexual, whatever, same difference, right? But I'd have to think whether there's anybody as sort of high profile as Pete. I don't think there is. I may be missing somebody, but I don't think so. I think what would be interesting is I think the debate should be next Tuesday, September 10th. Buttigieg would be very interesting as Secretary of State. He'd be very interesting as United Nations ambassador. So we'll see. But I think Kamala Harris, for example, she's really using him on the campaign right now. Lindsey Graham, that's a good point. Lindsey Graham's very high profile as well. That's a fair point. But I think also, I think he might prefer to get the international experience because he clearly likes it. And he's good at it, so we'll see. But I think for some reason, I almost think United Nations ambassador over Secretary of State, but we'll see. But Barney's not in office. Correct. I don't know if they decided on the mic. The last article I saw, it was from today or last night, that said that Kamala Harris's team was still discussing the terms of the debate with with ABC, which is the channel that's hosting the debate next Tuesday. So I don't know yet. I didn't see anything more recent saying that they've reached although knowing her team, she's going to agree, Well, there's a bisexual senator, Tammy Baldwin, but most of you haven't heard of Tammy Baldwin. Most of you have probably heard of, let me put it this way. I will bet more of you have heard of Pete Buttigieg than Tammy Baldwin. And more of you know what Pete Buttigieg looks like. You may not know what Tammy Baldwin looks like. She's just a little more low profile because she didn't run for president. Buttigieg did. Yeah, senator from Wisconsin. Very good. We like her a lot. Very popular. But I just think Buttigieg is more high profile because he ran for president and so had that Obama-Clinton mystique about him that, Tammy Baldwin is very nice, smart, hardworking, level, right? Buttigieg is almost bigger than life. Kirsten Sinema is a lunatic. Yes. She's a lunatic and people also don't know who she is, thank God, because she's crazy. But yes. Oh, thank you, Emil. This is one of my Amazon shirts. I was looking on shirts for rainbows. I think, is this just this is the Be Kind shirt. I forgot about that. This is the Be Kind. But I was looking for, he is not. My Greek uncle died maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, unfortunately. Neat, very neat man. We had our uncle that was the Greek foreign minister, defense minister, deputy prime minister, and United Nations ambassador in the 1980s. Very well in Greece now, people wouldn't know him as well. But super famous Greek politician. I had Greeks tell me, I remember a taxi driver once telling me in Greece, they said, your uncle is the only honest politician we ever had, which was sweet. But he was very famous for the old historic Greek mustache. I have not gotten my Greek passport yet. I'm trying. One of our cousins is having success, so I'm going to talk to her about it. So hopefully, hope springs eternal. Oh, Pete will run for president again. Pete will definitely run for president again. I mean, Kamala Harris gets to do her thing. If she wins and she runs again, Democrats pretty much have to support her, unless she turns 82 years old, which she won't anytime soon. But Pete Buttigieg is, what is he, 42 now maybe, right? If he waits 8 years for Kamala Harris, he'll be 50. He's still going to be so young. And actually, 50 is a good age for him, I think, because 50 starts to get 39? No, he's not that young. No way. No. There's no way. Is he really? Just double check, WC. Is Buttigieg only 39? He's 42. Thank you. That's what I thought. Yeah. I think once he hits 50, that's because the thing is, he's short. And Americans like tall men as presidents. Not always, but generally speaking, they do. Certainly in the last several decades. Buttigieg is kind of short. He's kind of small. It takes away some of the gravitas, the gravity. So I think the age, honestly, he needs to start going gray. It's funny. Politicians don't like to go gray. They typically dye their hair. Buttigieg is one. I think the gray would help him. I think it would add a seniorness to him that he lacks. Again, and it matters. Marketing matters in politics, right? You're selling a candidate. You're trying to sell an image, an impression. Putin's 5'7", yeah. And look what that did, yeah. Well, James Madison, most Americans couldn't see. He'll look like me, exactly. I don't know if Americans are ready for him. I don't know. Oh, that's right. Remember Ron DeSantis in Florida had those funny shoes? He had some kind of funny shoes that his foot was in the shoe like this. And you could tell that the toe of the shoe would come here. And then the arch would go up like this because he literally had a platform inside is what it looked like to make him look 2 inches taller. It was the craziest thing. Thank you, Randy, for the gift. Thank you, Mrs. Toad. Very funny. Yeah. 39 when appointed. That's what I thought. Because I vaguely remember him being 38 or something when he ran for president 4 years ago, more or less. Do I think Vance will run for president? Sure. He's the vice president. He's the vice presidential candidate now. Florida, I don't think people think there's a chance in Florida going Republican. I don't think so. Going Democratic, I'm sorry. I don't think people think there's any chance of that. Thank you, Randy, for the gifts, as always. Cheap sneaker lifts from Amazon. Do they even have those? I would love to be. I'm 5'10", 5'9.5", actually. I would have loved to have been 6 foot. That would have made me very happy. What do you do? But it would have made me happy. Putin is gay. What else, guys? It's still pretty early. I got up early today. Got up a little early today. I appear tall. Well, I appear taller sitting down. Well, no, that is true, actually. I've thought that too. Like you see people on TV or whatever, and you get an impression of their height. Like some of the CNN guys, I've seen some of the CNN guys just in DC. One of the CNN um, reporters, I'm forgetting his name. So people watching it will know who I mean. The young guy, kind of cute. It looks like he's in his 30s. Just had a baby. Very white bread. He's got like nice hair, but very white bread, kind of 30s. He's their politics guy. He reports. He hosts a lot of times their politics shows, but he's a reporter. I'm forgetting his name. No, not Muir. No. Muir isn't a politics guy. Muir is a host. This is a politics reporter who is part of like CNN's Sunday lineup for politics and sometimes hosts. Forgetting his name. Any case, but I ran into him once at one of my doctor's offices because it's like a big building in downtown DC where is filled with 50 different doctors. And walking by him, he must be 6'3". And it was the funniest thing because on TV he looks like this little guy. And I'm talking 6'2", 6'3", which for you guys might be 2 meters or something. Huge guy. So it's funny sometimes because you see people, or Jeff Zeleny, who I'd met years ago, and we know each other through friends. And I saw him at the grocery store recently, and Jeff as well he's huge. Like I remember Jeff being my height. I was talking to him going, oh, so it is funny. Like on TV or on camera, you don't sort of recognize people, No, he's literally one of the top 5 or 6 guys. Phil Mattingly. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, it was Phil Mattingly. That's what I mean. He's one of the top 5 or 6 like reporters, political reporters at CNN. Phil Mattingly. He's huge. To me, he looks like he'd be 5'9", 5'10". He must be. Google him and see if it says. I think he's maybe 6'2". He's enormous. Like, just because I didn't say hi. I mean, it was a doctor's office, so I didn't want to be rude. Hey, Phil, I want you, but he's really big. He's really big. Evan Gershkovich, I assume he went back to work. I'm sure he did. How did Obama allow Russia to invade Ukraine? Obama didn't allow it, but Obama didn't really stand up to Russia. I agree with that. Thank you, Pam. Obama should have stood up to them more. I think that's true. But again, Obama and Biden both, they kind of, Trump just wants to be Putin's butt boy. And Obama, I think, and Biden were both afraid of angering Putin because he's got nukes. And I think that's wrong, But I'm not going to defend Obama and Ukraine. Again, I'm not going to defend Trump either because Trump would have just handed it to the Russians. But I'm not going to defend Obama, no. Because as I said, I am not a member of a cult. I can criticize Democrats when they screw up. Obama screwed up on Ukraine. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with Democrats on foreign policy. Some of them just are kind of weak. I don't think Clinton was weak on foreign policy. I don't think so. Obama kind of was, I think. Biden, the thing is, Biden's funny because Biden has been incredibly strong on Ukraine, but, right, he's still afraid of angering Russia, and it means we didn't help Ukraine as much as we could, and Ukraine isn't going to win. Russia's not going to win, but Ukraine's not going to win either because Biden was too afraid. But Biden gave a huge amount of support to Ukraine. But as I said, it's sort of like chemotherapy, right? Biden gave the Ukrainians like 65% of what they needed to cure the cancer. Well, surprise, it didn't cure the cancer. Well, so do you get to brag that you bought 65 to 70% of the chemotherapy that's really expensive because you didn't want to buy the rest of it? I don't know. Like I'm divided on it. You know what I mean? I don't know if Clinton fucked up Yugoslavia. You think? I was glad about the bombing of Serbia. That was perfect and successful. We saved the Kosovars. Again, America steps in and saves Muslims. You're welcome, Muslim world. Oh yeah, no, that's what I said. Obama was terrible. Emil is saying Obama did not help Ukraine. Obama was terrible. I don't know how Kamala Harris is going to be with Ukraine, Mikey. The only thing we know so far is her national security advisor, so her top defense national affairs person is apparently more conservative than Biden's. The number two is also much more conservative than Biden's, meaning in America, we'd probably say more of a hawk, somebody more like me when it comes to Russia, saying you've got to stand up to them, right? That's a good sign. It doesn't mean she will be that way because she'll be the president. She'll decide. And the problem is we won't really know until she becomes president because she still works for Joe Biden. It would be inappropriate for her to say too many. I've explained this before. When you run for president, but you're already like vice president, you're in a weird situation because you can't criticize the sitting president. You can't say, well, Joe Biden has been too soft on Ukraine, right? You can't say that because she literally works for Joe Biden, right? It would be rude. It would be embarrassing. Also, she'd kind of be almost criticizing herself too, to a degree, right? Because she works for Biden. So you're in a weird situation where she can put out proposals. She could, and on Ukraine, I don't think she will. On Ukraine, especially foreign policy is one of those things where typically on foreign, Republicans have broken this rule in the last couple of decades, but typically on foreign policy, we used to say politics stops at the border. So, we'll play political games, Republicans and Democrats, but when it comes to dealing with wars abroad and things like this, we will not play politics. Like, we support the president. We want America to be a unified front. Republicans don't do that anymore. Nonetheless, it would be inappropriate for her to criticize Biden. So on Ukraine, she's not going to say anything until she's elected. On education, immigration, she's got to agree with Biden, but she can talk about more things. Well, on immigration, for example, she says she wants to sign into law the bipartisan immigration deal that Biden brokered with Republicans in Congress. Conservative Republicans in Congress they basically offered a very conservative immigration deal to cut illegal immigration at our border. The Democrats agreed to it, and Donald Trump got upset. Because he didn't want immigration to not be an issue. He wanted immigration to be an issue. He wanted people to be crossing the border illegally, because otherwise he couldn't say, look at all the illegals coming. So Trump killed the deal. Google it. You'll see Republican senators saying it was Donald Trump's fault. But she doesn't want to criticize Biden. So her position on immigration is, I want to pass the deal that Joe Biden and the conservative Republicans agreed to. So she's taking out a more conservative position than Trump, but she's not taking out a harsher position than Biden, right? Because she can't criticize him. So anyway, that's her dilemma, is she can talk about new things she wants to do, but she has to be careful that she doesn't present it in a way that she wants to do it because Biden didn't do it, because she can't say that. Because again, you can't criticize your boss, And she should love Biden. She can't criticize Biden. I mean, she'd turn off. The problem is she'd turn off Democrats if she criticized Biden. Democrats don't hate Biden, right? Democrats just thought he was too old and he wasn't going to win. But so that's another thing. She can't really criticize it. Also, it would just be weird. Honestly, I think potentially it would make her look like a bad person. Like, you're criticizing your boss. Don't you have any loyalty? Right? It just looks bad, Oh, David, you're right. My 40 years of working in national politics in Washington, D.C., and my law degree from Georgetown and my master's in foreign service from Georgetown, and speaking 5 languages has made me ill-prepared for politics, as did working for 5 years in the United States Senate, working at the United Nations, working at the World Bank, and working for tons of political organizations across Washington, D.C. for 30 years. You're right. I wish I could know as much about politics as you do, David. I actually will say, I do. The one thing I enjoy with the trolls who do that, it gives me the opportunity to give my credentials, because honestly, it's a little weird to give your credentials, like, you should listen to me. But there is that element at the same time, like, I'm a guy on TikTok and YouTube. Why should you care what I think about politics? Because I've been doing it forever and I do have a good background in it. But it's hard to say that without being an ass, and still a little bit of an ass when I have to tell you my credentials, but it's important. It is. And maybe I should do that more often. Sometimes at the beginning of the show, I do that just to explain to people, like, why am I here trying to explain this to you? Kay Brown, what do you mean? Ukraine to end this invasion into their sovereign land? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Thank you, Ms. Vic, for the gift. What else? You're quite jelly? What does that mean, Ocean? Thank you, though, but what do you mean quite jelly? Oh, jelly, jealous. Are you from like Australia or something? Is jelly like I don't think we say that in America. I'm going to guess maybe you're Australian, but do Americans say that? Like I said, I had to think about it for a second. Oh, jelly, like jelly. It almost sounds like something Americans do. Okay, I never heard it, Ash. Okay, but Ocean, are you American or no? Just curious. Oops, a lot of people, younger kids, those young kids, those young children. All the kids say jelly now. That's funny. Jelly. I'm jelly. It sounds British, doesn't it? Right? Like, oh, I'm still jelly. It sounds kind of goofy, actually. It's what the heck? It's funny. You know. Well, she had to say, I mean, Kamala Harris had to say negative things about Biden before because she was running against him for president. So and I mean, on the Republican side too, if you're running against somebody, you've all got to criticize each other. So it's a little hard. I mean, we will still use those against you, right? I mean, Republicans and Democrats will still use the negative comments that for example, Kamala Harris has said against Biden against them, but typically at the same time, when you're running for president, you are going to criticize the other candidates, Jelly. I'm jelly. It sounds funny. Gag me with a spoon. Exactly. That was our generation. Gel. I've never heard that. Oh, there was that weird bus thing or whatever it was. Yeah, I forgot about that. She got him on some racial integration thing. Honestly, I thought that was I didn't like when she did that. I thought that was a little jealous. You got me thinking jealous. I thought that was a little desperate when she did that. I remember when it happened, I was like, I like you. Also, she was trying to play the race card, and it felt like she was playing the race card like this was something she wouldn't do, and her staff told her to do it. It felt totally uncomfortable and weird. But that's what people do in the primary. It's your job to go after the other candidates, so what do you do? Jelly. Sasha is well. She is sleeping in the bed underneath me. I just bought her some little treats off Amazon for her joints because I'm getting the sense that she's getting old, that maybe because she's a little bit afraid of jumping on chairs. She does is a little cautious coming down the stairs. So I've got a feeling maybe the joint thing or something. So I got her some pills that my nephew uses for his geriatric dog that are recommended for, that chondroitin or a couple of those different things you give senior dogs for their joints and stuff to see if maybe it helps her. And the good thing is she liked the pill. So I was like, yes. She does get fish oil because she also had some nascent kidney issues, but her test, we're getting the tested on Friday at the vet, but she had sort of beginning kidney issues. So she's on fish oil for that. So she's been good. Again, jelliatric. She's a jelliatric, exactly. A jelliatric dog. Thank you, Bjorn. Her eyesight is actually good. Her hearing is half gone. But her eyesight, she looks like she's got cataracts. And the vet saw her last year and said, oh, no, her sight's fine. He said it's a different condition that makes their eyes look blurry, but they actually can see fine. I will say this. I still wonder a little bit because I wonder whether her reticence about jumping on a chair, coming off the stairs is because she just can't see as well. It makes me wonder. But I got her the stuff for the joints too because she's old and it's possible. It's hard because they're dogs. You really can't, it's almost like a young kid where you don't quite know what's wrong, Canned pumpkin. Thank you, Bjorn and Jen, for the gifts, by the way. Jelly in Jersey, jelly. It's 20 after. We may end pretty soon, guys. Yeah, renticular something, but he said it's not. He said it doesn't harm the vision though, but it literally looks like cloudy, but it doesn't harm the vision. I was like, yay, that's good. Oh, thank you for the lipstick. Who was that? Jen Bjorn. Oh, that was Jen. Thank you, Jen. But she's getting older. What do you do? Cloudy eye, exactly. Thank you, Mike, for the DJ. Oh, those are the DJ glasses. Oh, that's just bizarre with the pause too. And the lip. Oh, I love you, it says. Oh, now I finally figured it out. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Louise, for the eyes. The lipstick says I love you. That's cute. UN story, no, not in the mood to go angry today. Yeah, and she's half terrier too, so that could be what it is. Yeah. Hey, knock on wood, but she's old, they can go at any time. Hopefully I've got her for a while longer, Anyway, all right. Any last little things, guys? Otherwise, I think we'll close up so I can take a chill pill. 12.5. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh, excuse me. I got up a little early today. More of the housework, so to speak. Oh, thank you, Tyrians. All right, guys. Oh, your dog passed 5 days ago. Oh no, Ruth, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that. Sorry, I didn't want to cut off Ruth. Ruth, that's horrible. Oh, Ruth's dog passed away 5 days ago. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. Ugh, trust me. I mean, I don't know because I haven't lost her, but I know what that's like. Just her being sick once, like in the hospital, and I was destroyed. I couldn't believe how destroyed I was. I mean, it kind of blew my mind, Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Ruth. Ugh, that's terrible. Anyway, all right, guys. I'm going to sign off. Thank you for joining us tonight. That's okay. Thank you, Sherbin. I appreciate you saying that. Sherbin just said, love your page. Don't always agree. Like your style. That's all I can ask for. Well, I mean, again, I've got my opinions. Obviously, I think Donald Trump is a piece of trash. And I thought about it a long time as to whether I would even weigh in on that stuff with the election coming. And then I thought, how do I not? Like, how do I talk about the election, in a fair way about Donald Trump? What's fair? To be fair, I'd have to not criticize Trump and basically give him a pass when I literally think he's dangerous. And again, I don't think George Bush was dangerous. George Bush lied about the war. I'm not happy about that. George Bush wasn't dangerous. George Bush, hey, he was a Republican. Again, he lied about the war, but he was a Republican. I don't think he's a war criminal. Donald Trump is everything wrong. Other Republican candidates, J.D. Vance, I think is kind of a freak, but But again, I'm not totally convinced J.D. Vance is a threat to democracy. Donald Trump, So yeah, I appreciate you saying that because I did. I had a long sort of, even with my other nephew, we were talking about it. Do I really go after Trump or not? And I thought, how do you report on the election without talking about him and do it? Because again, to not criticize Trump because I don't want to anger people is literally taking a side because I think Trump is so dangerous. We've got to talk about it. So so I appreciate you saying that. But I do try to be honest, like I said, Yeah, JD is bisexual. Somebody, actually Gunther or somebody somebody had said that before, which I thought maybe it was Gunther during one of our weekend get together. Thank you, Lars. Our weekend special chats. Oh, that's a cool one, Lars. I've not seen that before. The Garland. I don't think I have. But I think it was Gunther or somebody who said, yeah, JD Vance is bisexual. Or no, I did not have, what was it? I did not have sectional. No, this was different. I did not have sectional relations with that sofa. That I think was Gunther's. Yes, I did not, because Trump, right, Bill Clinton, when he lied about Monica Lewinsky, the girl, the intern he had an affair with, he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And Gunther said, I did not have sectional relations with that sofa. Because like sofas are in sectionals, the sofas that have got multiple pieces you put together. That was a very good joke, actually. I was impressed with that one. Anyway, well, it's tough, Sherbin. I mean, again, I think unfortunately, I will say this. I don't want to get into a whole long discussion because we already been doing an hour and 25 minutes, and I was trying to protect my voice a little bit. Republicans for 30 years have decided it's to their benefit to discredit the media. And honestly, Donald Trump is the fruition of that effort. Thank you, Mike. That basically he can lie about everything. He can commit any crime, do anything, and people won't believe it because, I don't believe the media lies, right? And you've got Fox News that isn't really media. Fox News is never going to tell the truth about the bad parts about Trump. Thank you. They did for a short while after the insurrection, right? Thank you, Mike. That it's made it very difficult now because unfortunately Republicans have destroyed the credibility of the media on purpose because the media would hold them accountable. And now Democrats believe it when the media exposes it. Democrats, I mean, literally Democrats call on like that idiot in Congress to resign, Menendez. I want him to resign. He's horrible. The senator who had like the 500 thing, who had like gold bars in his closet. He was bought by the Egyptians and I forget who else. And he had gold bars in his closet. Democrats were like, get your ass out of here, right? Republicans don't do that. But so anyway, so that's a whole other problem is that the media can't even hold them accountable anymore. This is the problem. This is the Trump thing. Anyway, we'll stop talking. You got me going again. We'll stop talking. All right. Thank you, Mike, for the gift. Guys, thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Sherman, for discussing. And I will see you guys tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Chicago time, Thursday night. Remember, Saturday morning, we will have our coffee talk, our regularly scheduled get together for just the paid subscribers on TikTok and the paid members on YouTube. Special show we do 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, 10:30 a.m. Chicago time, Central time. So join us then. All right, guys, have a good night. Thank you. And you.